Today we shall be discussing the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2026. હું જે પણ ટોપિક મૂકું છું તમે અગર એકદમ ધ્યાનથી સાંભળશો તો બધા ટોપિક ઇન્ટરેસ્ટિંગ છે અને તમને સમજમાં પણ આવશે. Now see, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2026 represents one of the most significant development in the corporate insolvency regime since the original enactment of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. Now see, in part 1 the discussion was centered on the evaluation of the insolvency framework, policy reasons behind the reform and the major structural changes that were introduced by the amendment, and this included the streamlined admission procedures, the redefined liquidation process, driven insolvency pathway, introduction of new creditor, and enabling the provisions for the group and cross-border insolvency. I'll be explaining you the meaning of insolvency, liquidation, cross-border insolvency pathway, everything later on at the end of this part. Now see, in part 2, part 2 discussed that the law doesn't operate in isolation. The law operates in the real world implication as well. This amendment affects the courts, the lenders, the regulators, the businesses, and the employees, everyone. So to understand the practical impact of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2026 is very much important for those who are involved in the business of corporate finance, restructuring, lending, compliance, and now understanding the shift, that is from the process reform to the system accountability. In simple terms, this amendment changes the philosophy of insolvency law from, that is, resolving the insolvency cases to creating a predictable and disciplined insolvency ecosystem. Now the impact of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2026 on key stakeholders, that is the financial creditors, is that the faster recovery and increased control. Now the financial creditors like banks, non-banking financial companies, and financial institutions, they are the biggest beneficiaries of this amendment. And their role has been expanded after this amendment, and the legal framework supports them faster. Like, that is, first thing is there is the faster admission of cases. Like previously it happens that a bank files an insolvency application against a company that has defaulted a 50 crore loan. Now previously it happened that the company could delay the proceeding by challenging the debt calculation or raising the procedural objection. But now after this amendment, it happens that if the default has been accurately recorded and documentation is complete by the bank, then the tribunal has to admit the case within the statutory timeline. Second is that the strong role in decision making. Now the financial creditor has the great authority to replace the liquidator, supervise the liquidation process, approve the withdrawal and monitor the dissolution. And there is the improved recovery assurance. Now after this amendment, there is a mandatory payment rule for all the dissenting creditors, that they should get at least the liquidation value or their share under the priority distribution system, whichever is lower. And direct, fourth is the advantage is to the financial creditor is the direct access to the legal remedies. Now the financial creditors can directly initiate the avoidance proceeding if the insolvency professional fails to act. Now this change has આના લીધે શું થયું છે કે if previously it was like the suspicious transactions were identified but no legal action was taken due to the delay or due negligence. Now this doesn't happen. Now what are the compliance advices for the financial creditor is that they should maintain accurate default record and documentation has to be complete. Then they should register all the transaction with information utilities and conduct periodic loan risk review and train the staff on insolvency procedure. Now for the operational creditors, માટે છે કે increase discipline and documentation. that is operational creditors like the contractors, service providers and suppliers. They find like for them there is a more structured they feel that they get a more structured environment after this amendment. Like after this amendment, the law has introduced additional compliances, but with the additional compliance requirement, the law has also created a stronger safeguard for the so that there is no misuse of this insolvency process. Now for the operational creditors, it is that mandatory requirement of mandatory record filing requirement. Like this requirement prevents the it improves, first of all it improves the transparency and reduces the false claim and ensures the reliable evidence, and penalties to conceal the now there are penalties to conceal the dispute. Like suppose a supplier files an insolvency application against a company claiming the unpaid invoices, but the company had previously had a dispute with the supplier regarding the quality of the good. But if the supplier fails to disclose this dispute, then the tribunal imposes the penalty on the supplier for not disclosing this matter and for the misleading application. Now the compliance advice for the operational creditors that they should maintain all the written contracts, document the disputes properly, preserve all the communication record, and register all the delivery confirmation. So this will reduce the legal risk, and this reduces the legal risk and it improves the chances of successful recovery. Now I will be explaining you the meaning of creditor, debtor and those things. The general meaning જે તમારી માટે જરૂરી છે આ ટોપિક સમજવા. ઓકે, now see, debtor means borrower જે પૈસા લે છે, creditor means lender જે પૈસા દે છે. Now what is liquidation? Liquidation means when that is a winding up of the company. That is when a company નું financial status એ stage પર આવી જાય છે that it is they sell all their assets, inventories, properties, equipments to convert those thing into cash to pay off the debts to the creditors, to pay off all their debts obligation and to pay off all their cash money. જ્યારે that obligation becomes due and that is liquidation is winding up of the company. Insolvency is a financial status, financial distress, when a company goes into financial distress where the liability exceeds the assets, and it is at that stage where it precedes with the formal bankruptcy, and it happens when the insolvency focuses more on the inability to pay the debts rather than the lack of asset. That is that stage where the company cannot pay its debt obligation when they becomes due. What is cross-border insolvency? Cross-border insolvency is where there is insolvent debtor who has assets and creditors in more than one country and requires a cooperation of different legal system. Now it focuses on the maintaining and distribution and protecting the assets, protecting all these assets using the unilateral model law of the cross-border cooperation. Unilateral model law is a standardized legal process by the United Nations Commission. That is, these are the guidelines of United Nations Commission where on international trade law. Now what is insolvency pathway? Insolvency pathway એટલે કે એક કંપની એક એવો legal process, they take that legal process in which the company is already under the financial distress, of course, and they take that legal process જેનાથી કાં તો પછી company they can either rescue their business or orderly shut it down. That is that stage of the company. Okay, and now what is stakeholder? Stakeholder are the individuals, companies, organizations. They waste interest in the activities and operations of the business, and the success and outcome directly જે બિઝનેસનું આઉટકમ છે that also affects these stakeholders and the activities of stakeholders, they influence the business as well. What is moratorium? Moratorium is a temporary stopping of the activity that is done by official agreement, like a loan moratorium. જેમ કે લોન મોરેટોરિયમમાં એવું હોય છે કે EMI payments જે લેન્ડર્સ હોય છે they temporarily give a pause to it to provide a financial breathing room to the so that provide a financial breathing room by the lenders during the crisis. નાવ બીજા શેના મિનિંગ મારે તમને સમજાવવાનું છે. આટલું જે ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ હતા બધા મિનિંગ મેં તમને સમજાવી દીધા છે. જેટલા ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ મિનિંગ હતા એ મેં તમને સિમ્પલ લેંગ્વેજમાં સમજાવી દીધા છે. તો આઈ હોપ યુ લાઇક ઓલ માય લીગલ વિડીયોઝ. સો પ્લીઝ ડુ લાઇક, શેર એન્ડ સબસ્ક્રાઇબ માય ચેનલ એન્ડ ટ્રાય ટુ અન્ડરસ્ટેન્ડ માય લીગલ વિડીયોઝ. તો તમને જરૂર સમજમાં આવશે. જેવું આમાં કંઈ નથી તે સમજમાં નથી આવે એવું. ઓકે.